Hi, my name is Tyler Dendero. Today we're going to be looking at my paper on ecological light pollution. First things first, this is what I used to gather all my data. This is a trail cam. You can open this up, mess with the settings. It's battery driven, so it'll last maybe a month on batteries if you're only having it record like a minute of video and there's not too much activity where you are. And you got tree straps, or you can strap it against anything, I guess. Anyways, I highlighted a few portions of my paper that I want to go through with you all. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay. So light pollution is on the rise due to the expansion of cities and suburbs. This study, its goal is to see if higher light pollution correlates with lower wildlife population density. That's the question I'm looking to answer with this. So who does this affect? Well, astronomers for one. If you like looking at the stars, looking at the moon, looking through telescopes, then light pollution is not good for that. The seeing conditions in Florida aren't great just due to the humidity alone and how close we are to sea level. But light pollution makes it that much worse. Now you can make it better if you go towards central Florida. You'll have less light pollution. Of course, in the cities, you're going to have more light pollution. Now, how do we define ecological light pollution? Well, some studies or some research has defined it as the change in natural light regimes in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems. So it's not only the light pollution part, which you get from your artificial lights from buildings and street lights and car lights and all that. It's also how it affects the natural world around us and other species. Okay, so another bad thing about light pollution in cities is that the cloud layer actually reflects the light from all of the street lights and car lights and all that back down to the surface, which creates even more light pollution and multiplies it. Ecological light pollution has been shown to affect the duration of mating calls in some South African frogs. Now, this isn't good because this is messing with the nature of things. You know, some of these frogs might be predators to multiple other species, and the more predators there are, then maybe it's a whole change in the food web. It's not good. So in this particular case, that with these frogs, the prolonged exposure caused these frogs to do their mating calls all throughout the night rather than just in a few hours like they used to. Now, another example of how ecological light pollution affects a different species is with these tautrid amphipods. They were shown to reduce growth, locomotion, and nutrient absorbance efficiency when exposed to artificial light. And obviously that affects their fitness and their survivability, which is not good. Great invention, the LED, makes our lives a lot easier because they're more efficient than the old bulbs. Like in this case, for street lights, the high pressure sodium lights, they're usually like an orange or yellow, are being replaced by these LEDs more and more because the LEDs are brighter, use less energy. That's all great. But they also attract almost 50% more insects than those high pressure sodium lights. And that could be a problem because insects are the basis of the food web. And if predators are getting closer to roadways, you know, that causes a whole bunch of problems. One, it could cause more accidents. These predators could get in front of cars. You know, it's just there's a lot that goes into this. Artificial light at night has also been shown to affect the melatonin production in insects. Oh, great. So you got bugs in your house. If you have lights on all the time, maybe they don't want to sleep and they want to bother you more parts of the night. I'm just kidding. But this really is a problem because like I said before, insects are the basis of the food web, very important to keeping all of us bigger predators alive, right up the food chain. So not good. Now, this is something that's been in the news a lot lately. Melatonin production is blocked by blue light, which I have blue light filters on all my phones, my computers, if I'm using them at night, because like you, I like to sleep and I like to sleep efficiently. I don't like to wake up feeling tired. Now, I was looking into this and the color temperature of the LEDs did not change the number of insects drawn to the light. So that might be a bit of a relief, actually. Oh, very important part of another display of insects being the basis of the food web is their pollinators. And so if you screw with insects, you might be screwing with your plants, which is your food, your vegetables. Moths, for example, are a nocturnal pollinator. So if moths think that it's daytime rather than nighttime because of all the artificial light pollution or ecological light pollution in this case, then they might not pollinate as much. Of course, more research is needed to gather evidence to support that hypothesis. So it's not just land that's being affected by this. Light does penetrate water in some circumstances. Aquatic community structure is affected by shining light on prey's camouflage, their hiding spots, coral reefs where fish go to hide, whereas a huge diversity of aquatic species lay in the ocean around these coral reefs. And if there's more light pollution around, then they can't hide as efficiently. They get eaten. We have less biodiversity in our oceans. Also not good. I found a study that said coral reefs that are exposed to ecological light pollution are 25 times more differentiated in cell regulation, related to gene expression that could affect growth. So we're mutating our coral by shining light onto them. Not good. They're already having a hard time with ocean acidification and things such as that. So since this was a smaller study done for my ecology class, I had to keep it relatively simple in the way I did this. I didn't differentiate between species, although I did have a count of what species I saw. I just said total number of wildlife seen. Just any species that went in front of the camera, I counted for my statistics. And again, my hypothesis is that if man-made light increases, then the population of wildlife decreases. So we're looking for the effect artificial light at night has on wildlife, right? So a bit about my methods. You already saw the trail camera. When I went out to measure the artificial light at night, or light pollution, the light levels were measured using my smartphone and the Globe at Night app. So this app is based on it measures light based on the Bortle scale. And the Bortle scale ranges from ideal seeing conditions, which is a 1, to not ideal seeing conditions at a 9, where you can only see the moon, close planets, and a few bright stars when you look up at the sky. And we're all more accustomed to this level of light pollution living in the city. If you go to school in Clearwater, chances are you live in the city. I also used my phone's GPS to record where the locations were that I took these measurements. So I did this study in 2 places: J.B. Starkey Wilderness Park. So that served as a bit of control as you can get around here. I would have had to drive 5+ hours to find somewhere with, almost no light pollution. So 4 is the best I could get. And then Wall Springs Park was a 6 on the Bortle scale. Worse seeing conditions, more artificial light at night, and that was a bit of my test. So the camera spent 5 days within each park, and each time I also recorded what kind of weather there was, cloud layer, moonlight, the canopy of the trees. That was all taken into consideration when measuring the artificial light at night. So here's one of my graphs. As you can see, the location Bortle scale measurement 4, that was at JB Starkey Wilderness Park. And then there's the 6, that was much more light polluted at Wall Springs Park. You could see that there was much more animals seen at JB Starkey Wilderness Park. And my statistics showed that there was a significant difference between the number of animals seen and the level of light pollution measured by the Bortle scale between those two parks with differing light pollution. So weather conditions, this confirms the theory that, or confirms that the artificial light at night is multiplied by the cloud layer. So on cloudy nights, there was no animals seen, but on clear nights, much more animals seen. Here's another graph just chronologically showing when I saw the animals and where I saw them. So to conclude, areas with higher light pollution had lower wildlife population density. Areas with more cloud cover shown lower population density.